Hi guys, welcome to another video by Empire FX. In this video, we're going to run through the basics of entering and managing a trade using IC Markets CTrader. We will show you how to enter with both a market and a limit order, as well as how to manage a running trade by taking partials, moving your stop loss, and setting profit targets. These basic skills are all that you need to be able to successfully enter and manage live trades using our simple strategy at Empire FX. All trades entered in this video are purely for the purpose of showing you how to use IC markets and are not in any way a reflection of our trading strategy. Before we jump into it, let's first talk about why we personally use IC markets as our broker. The main reason we use IC markets is because of the extremely low spread. Spread is important for two reasons. Firstly, to ensure that you actually get tagged into the trade when placing limit orders, and secondly, it's to ensure that you don't get tagged out when the trade goes near your stop loss. Okay, because our strategy at Empire FX is so precise, we are often entering with a stop loss ranging from 2 to 4 pips. So low spread can be the difference between getting tagged into a trade or not, or even worse than that can be the difference between staying in a trade or getting stopped out. Okay, and that can be a huge difference, guys, because if you get stopped out, you might lose 1%, but if you had a different broker with low spreads, you might have stayed in the trade and banked 5 or 10% profit instead. Okay, and that's going to make a huge, big swing to your overall profit at the end of the month. All right, so this window that you're seeing in front of you, this is the layout that you will see when you first open IC Markets CTrader. Alright, when you're using IC Markets, you have a few different options for which platform you want to use. However, personally, I think CTrader is by far the most user-friendly, and the mobile phone app for CTrader is also extremely easy to use. And that's super important, guys, because the way we trade, you're going to be sometimes closing out your trade or taking partials or sometimes even entering on your phone. Okay, you don't have to do it all from a computer. Alright, so let's start talking about everything that you're seeing in front of you now. Okay, so on the left here, this is where you find your little search symbols, create watch lists and things like that. Okay, so you'll have a little tab here with all the main instruments on here. But then you can, in here, you can type in and you can search up anything you want. So type in GBP, all your pound pairs will come up, etc. But for anyone that's in Empire, you know that all we trade is Euro USD, and we do that just because we like to keep it nice and simple, and we can still make consistent, double-digit percentages every month just by trading that one pair. So for you guys, all you're going to need to do is create a watch list and just drag EU down. But if you trade other pairs, all you need to do is find them in here, click them up here, and then you can drag them down into your watch list. Okay, now this is also important for when you're using your mobile phone, because when you're on your mobile phone, it makes it nice and easy to find them if you have a watch list, right? So that's the main reason to use them, is so that when you're on your phone, it's nice and easy to grab. Right, but for us, all we need is that one on there. So you can right click on that and we can remove that from our watch list because all we want is EU. Okay, now once you've got that pair, for us, this is the window where you're going to see the price action. Now, we don't recommend charting in this. We use TradingView for the charting, but click this little window up here, and this is the same thing where you find it. So have your watch list. We've only got the one pair, but in here you can click this, and you can get the recent price action up of any other pair that you want. But for us, we'll just keep it on EU, and here's where you change your time frame. So click this, pick whatever time frame that you want for it to pop up, but for now, I'll just leave it on the 15 minute. Okay, so down here, this is where you get a lot of different information about running trades, previous history and things like that. So down here, you'll have your balance, your equity, and margin news. So now your balance will stay like that until you've closed out a trade. So when you have a running trade, your equity is going to fluctuate depending if you're in the red or in profit and things like that. But your balance won't change until that trade has actually been closed out. Right, so in here, positions is where you'll see running trades. This is for any pending orders. Okay, this is where you've got any history of previously entered trades. So I've only got a couple of trades in here because this is a new demo account. I actually filmed this video last night, but it didn't record properly. So That's why you'll just see these couple of trades that I sort of took last night when I was mucking around with the video. You have price alerts, transactions, so this is where you'll see your deposits and withdrawals, and then a journal. So yeah, we won't bother getting into that now. Okay, now over on the right here, this is where you've got a bunch of different options here. So you've got a calendar, so you can see the news events and things like that coming up. But Forex Factory is great for that. And what you can actually do is on Trading View, you can have it set up so down the bottom here along the charts you'll see the news events and things like that. Okay, so that's one option you have. I have it turned off at the moment just because I use this one to film videos on. But on my personal one, you'll see all the news events pop up, and I prefer that because then you see it and it's right in your face rather than using this. So the only thing on this I actually use is this little trading section to enter your trades. All right, so let's jump in and explain how to actually enter these trades, and then from there we'll explain how to manage and things like that. So the main way that we trade, we're using limit orders. Okay, now when you're placing a limit order, that means that you're setting a price and you're saying that when price pulls back to here, you want to get tagged in. Okay, and the price will automatically tag in when it gets down to that price for you. Okay, so let's say we want to put a price just in here at 1.174. So we want to put a buy order on there. So because we want to take this trade long from here, for example, we're going to select a buy limit. Okay, so buy limit to your apprentice entry price, so 1.174. So we delete those couple of digits down there. Okay, and then we need to decide how big our stop loss is going to be. So that's the first thing you need to decide before you worry about how many dollars and things like that you're going to risk. That's all going to be based on your stop loss size. Okay, so for us guys, we normally enter something around a 5 pip stop loss, so we'll put that down. Okay, and then once you get down here, now you can see it'll say if your stop loss is hit, how many dollars that's going to cost you. This is the distance, the current distance it is away from your entry. So it's 8 pips away from our entry, and it's 13 pips away from our stop loss. Okay, and in here, that's how much a percentage of your account you will lose if it gets tagged out. So if it gets tagged out, we're going to lose 0.8%. So we want to up that because we want our risk to be 1%. Okay, so we can push this along. Now that's going to take a bit too long, so we'll move that. Go 9. Okay, so now we've adjusted those figures, and you'll see our risk now is 0.99%. Now, if you capital partition and not all of your money is in your broker, then that's going to end up actually should be showing like 2% or 3%, because you want this to be 1% of your total account size, not just the money in your broker. But for this example, we'll just pretend that this is our whole account in here, so we want that to be 1%, all right? So once you've got that sorted, your stop loss is set, you double check your entry price, then all you can do is hit place order. Okay, and now this here is a take profit. So say, for example, you've got an area up the top here that you want your profit to be taken at, then you can enter in how many pips you want your targets hit. Now, the reason I don't normally do this straight away when tasting a trade, unless I'm going to sleep, is if you have a take profit on and your take profit is hit, it will close 100% of the trade out. Now, depending where it is, I don't like to always close 100% of the trade out. I'll close it in sections, and then even when I hit the last point, sometimes I'll leave a tiny bit running just to see if it keeps running. Okay, so if you do that, when that area is hit, the whole trade closes out. So don't do that to think you can take partials. Okay, so don't have it set, for only like 5 or 10 pips away, thinking, oh, I'll just close out a little bit of my trade there and then let the rest run. That will close out your whole trade. All right, so once you're happy with where that is, you can then hit place order. Okay, and now you'll have this pop up on your screen. So this little line here, that is saying we're going to buy, how much we're going to buy at that point. And then this here, that's our stop loss, all right? So if we want, always check this, guys. So for you guys that are new, if you're a bit unsure, if you wanted to, so this is your little 15-minute range. Okay, so if you were hoping to have your stop loss below this range, and you jumped on and you're like, oh, that's not right, I wanted it to be lower, maybe you got your figures wrong on TradingView or something like that, that's fine. Because this is a limit order, this trade isn't going to be live until this pulls back and tags you in. Okay, so you can simply have a look at what price you want it to be. So we want it to be 1.1732. All right, so you can come here, right? You can double click on it and it's going to pop this up, which is modify order. Okay, so then you're going to want to change your stop loss to, if we look here, we want it to be 1.1732. So change this to 1.1732. Okay, but if you do that, if that's where you want your stop loss and you still want your entry to be in the same spot, you're going to have to change your volume. Because now, look, now, because we've made our stop loss bigger, if our stop loss is hit, we're now going to lose nearly 8,000 instead of 5,000. Okay, so we're going to lose 1.5%. Okay, so we want to take off a good chunk of that trade. Take that down, still too big. Alright, perfect. There we go. That's sitting on 1%. Tiny bit over, but it's good enough. So now that you've changed that, now we can hit modify. And now you'll see your stop loss is down below that range. Okay, so always when you're new, just check that. Have a quick little look just to make sure your stop loss is in the right place. And yeah, if you do need to change it, all you need to do is double click and then you're away. Now, if we were planning on entering this just on this pullback, a lot of the times you're going to place an order and then price is just going to run and you're not going to get tagged in. Okay, so say, for example, price now shot up here and this trade was now invalid because we only wanted to enter down here. If that happened, to get rid of the trade, you just want to click this little arrow here, okay? That little X. When mouse is there, click that, close your trade, and you'll see now it's now 0. So before that was 1, so there's now no pending orders, guys. All right, so if you wanted to do the same the opposite way, then you're just going to have to enter sell limit up here. Now, one thing you'll notice is see here, when this is 1.174, if I hit buy limit, I can place it. If you hit sell, you can't. Okay, so if you're getting to the chart and you're trying to enter your digits in and you're trying to place your limit order and it's not working, it's not letting you place it, just check that you've selected the right direction. Okay, because if this is wrong, so if you're trying to sell it from here, it won't let you do that. Okay, because the price has to drop down into, it just doesn't make sense. So there is a bit of a little fail safe there for it to do that. So if it's not working, just double check you've done that right. Okay, so that's how to enter with a limit order. So now let's show you how to do a market order. Okay, now limit order, as I said earlier, is our preferred method just because there's less emotions involved. You've got time to think about it and you can make sure your stop is always protected by the ranges and you're getting good fills. But market order is something you should know how to do because on the off chance, you get to your computer late and say price had already pulled back down to here. Price had already pulled back down to here, and which is exactly where you wanted to be getting in. You're not going to set a limit order to hit exactly where price is now. Okay, you're just going to want to get in at that exact second with a stop loss. Okay, so what a market order does is exactly that, guys. It will just buy or sell at the exact price that we're currently at. Right, so let's just put a big stop loss on this, just so I'm not going to get tagged out of the trade to put it on. Okay, so normally you're going to be still entering with a small stop, like 4 or 5 pips, something like that. But I'm just going to throw a 20 pip stop loss on for now, just so that I don't get tagged out, because I want to show you how to run, how to do a bigger trade and manage your trades and things like that. Okay, so let's just delete this. Alright, so once that's set up, stop loss in, ready to market buy. Okay, let's place the order. Okay, so now that we're in this trade and we actually have a live trade running, you'll see that this positions is now open. So there we go. That's how much the trade's down. That's our fees and things like that. So if we close the trade, even though it's barely moved, we're going to lose money on fees, right? So even though the trade's only down $23, we've got $150 in fees. But that's because I put such a large position on. So when you're on a small account, this isn't going to be much, right? But as you can see now, we've got the balance and then you've got the equity. So the equity, see that's fluctuating, whereas the balance just stays the same. Until we close this trade out, the balance will not change. Right, and now we've got margin use. This is something you're going to have to be aware of because depending on how much capital you've got in your account, you might not be able to place multiple trades and things like that. So say you're in here and then you want to scale in. You've got to be aware of how much margin you have left. You may not be able to. But that's something we can talk about in a later video, but it's just something to be aware of where you see all this information. And that's how much your trade is up or down, or a total of all your positions. Okay, so sometimes you might have multiple positions on, and then that'll tell you, yeah, the overall how you're sitting. Okay, so now that we're in this trade, let's talk about how to just, set profit targets and move stop losses and things like that. Okay, so to take partials, move stop losses, or do anything like that, you're just going to double click on the trade and open this window for modify position again. Alright, so you're going to hear us talking about taking partials a lot. So what we mean by taking partials is once we're tagged in, say we had our limit order down here, once we're tagged in here, when price breaks these highs, we're going to take some partials so that if price comes back down, we're not going to lose money. Okay, so say we initially had $1,000 stop loss. Once we're running in a few $1,000s, we're going to close that trade out so that if price comes down, we're still going to lose money because it's going to hit our stop loss, but we're only going to lose the same amount that we already closed out. All right. So to close a trade out, you need to adjust the volume. Okay, so it's the same way we adjusted the volume before on our limit order. Before the trade was tagged in, we moved our stop loss, we changed the volume. This is the same thing, but the trade's already running. Okay. So you're going to go here, so see the volume is now 2.32, so if we get rid of that and go 1, so when this is telling you how much of the trade you want to leave running, okay? So if we're going to leave that much running, that's how much we're closing out. Okay, so that's something you want to be aware of. So if you're taking partials, and if you only want to close a small amount of the trade out, then you only want to drop this number down slightly, okay? So if we only wanted to close a little bit out, at the moment it's 2.3, we might want to only make this, 1.6. And then that'll tell you how much you're closing, okay? So that's something you need to work out and have that prepared ahead of time, guys. So, at this point here, I want to close out, say, a third of my trade. So just work out how much that is. So when the time comes, you're ready to just enter the exact digits and close it out. Right, so let's just close out this section of the trade. Now we're not normally going to close it out when we're in the negative, in a loss. We're normally only going to close this out when we're in profit. But just for this example, let's close this out. Okay, so now you can see if we go back into this, total position size is only 1.6. And if you go to the history, you'll see here that we now have this in our history here down as another trade. Alright, so now that we're in this, if we do want to move our say we're running up in profit, we want to move our stop loss up. It's the same thing as when we did before. Just jump in here. You can even use these arrows up or down and move your stop loss. Okay. Now we're not going to be able to move this all the way up because we're currently in the red. So that's because we're hidden where price is now. Okay, so we can't do that. But once you're sort of in that running trade and price has moved up, if you're taking partials and if price has, moved correctly and you're ready to move your stop loss up, that's how you do it. Okay, and the same with your profit target. So once you've closed out a few of partials already, then you can look to set a profit target, at a chance where you think it's going to reverse or something like that. But just remember, if you have a profit target set, that's where it's going to close out the whole position. Okay, and nothing's going to be left running if that's hit. Okay, and then same thing as before, same way to close a pending order. Okay, if you just want to shut this to the market, to say you've got in, it's just a big news candle, it's just ran a ridiculously long way, you're happy with your profits and you just want to shut the entire trade out, then you just click this little X button and the whole trade's closed out. So now pop up in your history, yeah, and you can now see that. That's the new trade that just popped up there, the recent one all shut out. Okay, alright guys, well hopefully you've learned a bit from this. This is everything now that you need to know to be able to successfully start using IC markets. If you have any questions about anything, leave a comment on this video and we'll be happy to help. We'll have more content coming out soon across YouTube, Instagram and Telegram, so make sure you follow us on everything to stay up to date. And yeah, trade safe. Alright, thanks guys.